Thank you, Chair. This item has come up as a bit of a surprise to a lot of people, and particularly a surprise that it wasn't on the forward plan, i.e. we didn't get 3 or 4 months notice it was coming up, and it's also marked not for calling, which means the decision taken today, if it is as written, could be the final decision on this matter. It is very important what happens to Etone in terms of sports facilities. Currently, about 90 to 100,000 attendances occur a year at Etone Sports Centre. That is actually slightly more than actually attends the Jubilee Sports Centre, and is 11% of the attendances at all the venues managed by SLA. So it is not a ginormous amount, but it is over 10% of our council's subsidised sports activity is going through the Etone Sports Centre. And it covers a massive area. Obviously for things like hockey, it's the only pitch of its type in the town, so there's people from every borough will go there. But also, it is a major centre for Wellington St Nicholas Park, which you're massively expanding as part of your borough plan, or even if you don't have a borough plan. It is absolutely appalling that there's not going to be public consultation on this, because once an agreement is signed with the Academy, that's it. There's no turning back, and the agreement as is at the moment is very weak. It actually reduces the hours it will be available to the public, and effectively it's a very weak contract, so the council has no power in 1 or 2 years' time to actually really enforce very much in terms of what access we have. And I do ask that we actually have this contract, when it's matured in it, to go to a scrutiny committee, and that we actually have some public consultation and members of the user group actually involved. So make sure that all the details, the hockey club needs a certain type of pitch, all those sort of details are actually sorted out. Because it would be a travesty if we actually lose sports facilities in our part of town, and the only council-sponsored sports facilities are in the lake control areas. Thank you.
Any questions to Councillor Condotta? Thank you very much. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Chair. Well, as has just been said, as the ward councillor for the ward involved, I do appreciate it. The facility isn't just for the residents on my ward, but nonetheless I'm the ward councillor. I was also surprised by getting various emails over the weekend when I couldn't ask the officer questions about what was going on here. I was telephoned very early on Monday morning by Coventry, Warwickshire, to give an input, and I denied giving an input because I knew nothing about it, to be honest. I did immediately ring the director of Essex and Street Services, who we can confirm on Monday, to try to find out what was going on here. You're going to hear later, I'm sure, from the public issues on this, and you've seen the various things that have been presented in writing to you, so I won't go into detail. I did change the question that I prepared for council last week. You remember I was all on my little line at the front there, and I'll repeat it now. And I think it's very relevant that in view of giving the answer that I was given by the director, in view of the speculation regarding the future of the Etone Sports Centre, especially the Astro-Turf pitch, from users of the facility and the media, should we not be much more open in our dealings with this type of issue with various stakeholders in order to prevent the negative, erroneous assumptions which have been made? Now, I did ask that question of the leader, and it was diverted to the portfolio for Arts and Leisure. And I did get an answer on the details of Etone. I didn't want that. My question was about openness here. And, you know, this contract doesn't run out for about another 3 years, so we do have time. I do appreciate there are issues, again, that you have to be careful with. And obviously the public can't be told all of the details immediately. But I do feel that we really need to be more open in involving the public. And on this particular issue, I guess I won't say any more because I guess you're going to hear something right now.
Any questions, Councillor Foster?
Councillor Foster, have you any problems with the draft that's in front of us?
I do feel that the proper consultation needs to be made with the public, the users especially. That's centre. I know little about Etone. I wasn't into those types of sports ever. Although I've lived in this and this world for 45 years, I've never been involved in those types of sports. So I knew very little about the Etone Centre. And I do feel that there's probably members in the House here who, obviously you would be given a lot more information than I have, which is nothing. But that's it. Okay.
Thank you very much. Councillor Trills.
This item is an important item for the reasons that have been talked about tonight, and I'm sure some of the users that will speak later will opine on. It's the only all-weather surface of its type that's available locally. It's clearly very important to local hockey, which is thriving, I understand. And the sports centre itself has squash courts, a number of them, which again are a very scarce local resource, and people would struggle to find alternatives. So I was somewhat concerned when I learned about this relatively recently. It seemed to me that the proposal was being rushed through with undue haste and a lack of preparation. It usually indicates to me that Labour Council up to something that the public wouldn't like if they knew the details. So, in the short time that I've had, I've done my best to promote this and the profile of this on social media, through the BBC, and I've raised it with the county and our MP. And I've also done just a small sample of the public consultation and due diligence that the council should have done and must do fully before entering into any transfer agreement with Etone. I've been down to Etone several times. I've spoken to a number of the people that are walking in there that are users. They're from all over the borough. The last 4 people I spoke to were from Bedworth. Actually, they were all going there for squash. The other thing that they told me is that the opening hours are crucial to them. They don't want to be closed out in the daytime or restricted to the original hours of 6 p.m. Back in the 70s, maybe fewer people worked shifts. There wasn't such flexible working. People weren't on 4 days on, 4 days off, like the 2 guys that were down there playing squash tonight. So the need to have some access in the day must be preserved, or those people just aren't going to get a chance to interact and do the sports that they're used to. So in the modern working practices that we have, there's an increased requirement for access in the day and early evening, not less of a requirement. We've all seen a copy, or had sent to us by email, a copy of a document produced by Mr. Walmsley. It's very detailed. Some of it may be a little conspiratorial and include the county, which we've already heard and established. Since the transfer to the academy, they have no direct involvement in this, and it is purely between the borough and the academy. But Mr. Walmsley does raise some important concerns about the latest incarnation of the entity which controls Etone School Academy. The council must protect itself, I would suggest, as well as local taxpayers, council taxpayers, by undertaking full due diligence to ensure that all of the entities that it enters into agreements with are fit and proper entities. And he's raised some quite serious concerns. Final.
I'll let you make the final sentence.
The final point I wanted to make is I think the public would react very badly if it was to come to light that the real motivator behind this was the council trying to siphon off some of the pot of money that's been put aside for revamping the all-weather pitch for other purposes. Whatever happens...
no, I did say I'll let you know the last sentence. Thank you. Any questions to Councillor Truman? No? Thank you very much. Sylvia Fallows.
Next I can play out, I'm a bit older now. My son plays, my grandchildren go on a Sunday morning. I'd like to say there were 50 children down there this Sunday morning. I'm very concerned on certain aspects of the proposed contract. 4.9 states, policy of affordable pricing references charges at the Borough Council with the leisure to be accepted. How can you do this? There's only one Astro-Turf, so how can you make a comparison? Number 2. Item 5.3. This one is the one that really worries me. The Borough Council would be willing to make a one-off payment to assist them in meeting the cost of renewing the all-weather pitch in the next 2 years or so. The all-weather pitch needs replacing now, and this open-ended timescale of or so could mean waiting years. In Schedule 1 it states about the facilities of the that have been taken over by, that will be taken over, sorry, by Etone. Vending services, corridor areas, etc. There aren't any vending machines. I don't know whether you've been in, but they've been taken out. So for people like myself and other parents that go on a Sunday morning in December to encourage our youngsters, we can't even go to pick a coffee. What happened to the vending machines? 3.3, prices for all activities are to be set at no more than their current NBBC level for the first 8 months, i.e. September the 1st. It's now October the 1st. Have we lost a month? So the contract is a month out before we even start. And my final point refers again to timing of when we can use the Astro-Turf and the fact that the school is restricting community use not only to older members of the area but educational establishments. Surely their own sixth form students may want to use the pitch, so why restrict it to King and stop King Edward College using it? They are being very focused in who they will let use it. Having listened to the lady on the BBC the other morning stating that the problem is using the changing rooms for adults and children, I'd like her to go to the Congress one day. Thank you. Oh, sorry, any questions?
It is nerve-wracking to sit here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Catherine Bridge.
Thank you. I'm the Vice Chair of the Nuneaton Hockey Club. I've been a member since the age of 11 and I'm also involved in the coaching of our junior section. One of our primary concerns, as Councillor Traynor alluded to earlier, is that this decision has been somewhat rushed through. And we're concerned that the money that has been earmarked for the refurbishment of the pitch is perhaps destined for elsewhere. And based on the following unresolved issues, we ask that the Cabinet do not accept the recommendations regarding the transfer of the sports facilities to the Matrix Academy Trust. Based on England Hockey's advice to satisfy the requirements of health and safety, the all-weather pitch will require resurfacing within the next 12 months, which, if not undertaken, would result in the cessation of the sport of hockey in the borough. There's no mention in the community use agreement of the Borough Council meeting its obligations to use the money earmarked in the all-weather pitch renewal fund to resurface the pitch, so that the asset is transferred to the academy in a usable state for a reasonable period of time. By not fulfilling this obligation to the community, the council is knowingly transferring an asset to an organisation with no funds to carry out essential work that will be required within 12 months of transfer. Under item 8.1 of the proposed community use agreement, Etone Academy will be solely responsible for meeting all revenue and capital costs that arise from operating the sports facilities, which they clearly will be unable to do. The lack of clarity on the value of the finances earmarked in the Council's all-weather pitch fund was raised in the question to full Council on the 24th of September, to which a response was provided but did not address the question that was asked. Item 5.1 to 5.3 of the Cabinet report indicates that a one-off payment payment to Etone Academy would perhaps be in the region of £70,000 to assist them in meeting the costs of renewing the all-weather pitch in the next 2 years or so. This amount is insufficient to resurface the pitch. A greater understanding is required to reconcile the difference between the amount of around £200,000 reserved by the council in the all-weather pitch renewal fund and the much lower figure of approximately £70,000 one-off payment indicated in the Cabinet report. On this basis, and in the interest of openness and full transparency of the allocation of public funds, it's essential for proper governance and due diligence that this is made transparent through a scrutiny process.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor,
I do apologise, don't normally do this. I think you said 5.5, was it, or 5.3?
5.1 to 5.3, about the one-off payment to Etone Academy.
Of how much?
We believe in the region of £70,000 based on the savings that you'd make of £30,000 and £40,000 respectively.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Phillips?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Am I right in saying that your all-weather pitch needs replacing in the next 12 months?
It needs replacing now, to be perfectly honest.
But how long would that take?
About 3 weeks.
A few weeks. Okay.
Is there any possibility, well, there's a chair there, somebody should
Spare
take.
chair, yeah.
Well, there are 2 chairs at least. Any more questions? Thank you very much. Sophie Randall.
Thank you, Chair. The Astro-Turf has been a major part of my life for over 10 years, in which time I've risen from the junior section through to the adult section and now stand before you as a member of the committee. In this time I've seen both the junior and adult section thrive, with vast increase in membership and passion for the sport. No more so than after the 2012 Olympics and the subsequent visit from a medal-winning British Olympian to the club. My sister is now 5 and for the last 12 months has been playing in our junior section. As an active member of the junior section, I now assist with coaching the next generation of hockey players in the borough. How can the council guarantee that this generation have the same opportunities that I have had through access to the pitch? And how can it be said that the Olympic legacy message is being carried when the quality of the facility is being compromised? The hockey club provides an emotional outlet for juniors, many of whom have difficult home situations, myself being one of these. Hockey has helped me through the most difficult times in my life. Not only is it a safe haven where I can have the opportunity to compete in something which I enjoy, but also because the friends that I've made and the camaraderie within the club has given me the utmost support and encouragement when I've needed it most. My work on the committee as a junior coach and as a ladies and junior team captain has set me up for my future endeavours, from allowing the successful completion of my Duke of Edinburgh Award to having positive experiences to write on my CV and personal statement, as well as significantly improving my self-confidence and organisational skills. And without this, there is no way that I would be able to stand here today delivering this statement. Without this pitch, youngsters in the future will have no such opportunity to help them succeed, potentially having an effect on the number of successful university applicants in the borough. You may think the statement's overly dramatic, but it's not just our hockey club that will be affected. Many schools within the area use the pitch, mine included, meaning the future of the sport is in jeopardy, as we will no longer be able to nurture our love and passion for the sport. The use of this pitch and quality of coaching has led myself into the county squad, as have many others within the club, which has produced a long line of county, Midlands and even an England player. An opportunity young people in the future will be without, as they will have no platform where they are able to blossom in a safe environment or showing the vast enthusiasm and experience of the coaches. The only aspect that matters in this debate is the detrimental effects that these recommendations will have on the people and children of this borough. It's for these reasons that I ask you to think of the bigger picture and not accept them.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Well done, Sophie.
Julie Willis.
May I stand?
You Yes, of course.
Andrew DeWillis, I'm President of the Nuneaton Bedworth Borough Council. Our club has been a very active part of our local community for 100 years. Currently, there are over 250 residents actively involved in hockey, including about 70 juniors, some as young as 4 years old, and several who are over 60. Members of the club come from across the borough, including neighbours, and some come from the most deprived areas of the borough. Our membership is open to everyone, regardless of age, race, sex, sexual orientation or religion. Many of our members began playing hockey in our junior section. We have seen these players grow and develop, not only acquiring the skills and knowledge of the game, but personal and interpersonal qualities that have helped them to mature into responsible, confident, caring, enthusiastic and hard-working members of the community. They are now helping to pass these characteristics to our younger juniors through their coaching skills, so that the juniors can appreciate qualities such as fair play, self-esteem and patience, whilst being competitive but unselfish in their contact with others, not only within our community, but promoting our borough through their education and employment. We are a heart town. We are affiliated to the Heart Foundation to promote a healthy lifestyle in the community with the aim of reducing obesity, heart-related diseases and diabetes. Whilst sport undoubtedly helps to maintain a healthy body, it also helps to improve mental health. Statistics show that Nuneaton Bedworth score very lowly in this aspect. Our statistics show that our members are fit in body and mind. A steady flow of teenagers advancing into higher education each year, and over 95% of our eligible members in permanent full-time employment. The Borough Council is lessening the opportunity of enabling their residents to improve their health and well-being if this important sporting area cannot be used because it has been deemed unsafe. Our community will be immensely deprived if this facility is lost to the borough's residents. So many people use Etone Sports Centre, including the outdoor area, so many will lose the opportunity to play a game they love, to be able to be valued and respected by others, and to develop into positive, law-abiding, upright members of our community if the surface is allowed to degenerate to the extent that its use is not safe. The Council are in a unique position to have both the money available and the opportunity to resurface the pitch. We would implore the committee members to save our sport for the future generations of our community. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Claire Leeson.
Is it all right if I sit here, Chair? Yeah. The Council has already got evidence that teenagers from Nuneaton and Bedworth have been stopped from using our only hockey-friendly Astro-Turf within the borough. And although the Etone Academy commented on local radio, they have failed to supply any reasons as to why a 10-year working agreement with a local college is no longer viable. Is this not a clear indication that the priorities of the Academy are not linked to genuine community use? I therefore urge the Leader of the Council and this Cabinet to reconsider the immediate transfer of the lease until further talks with the Academy.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yeah, can you just highlight more on this? Is it an inter-school agreement that's you talk that children aren't allowed?
Yeah, I've been hockey coach and a tutor at the college for the last 6 years, and we've had an agreement with the PE department that's worked perfectly, where we take the sixth form students down on a Wednesday afternoon, usually after the school is finished, and we train. We've trained for British Colleges events that we've entered the last couple of years. They've let us stage home fixtures on the pitch for friendly and British Colleges fixtures, which led to one of our students being an England goalkeeper. Before that, the students were allowed, previous to my coaching. and I was just assuming that would happen again. When I contacted the PE department when we came back to college, I had an email stating that we were no longer welcome to use the Astro. I've always encouraged their older students to join in with ours. We've had several inter-college and inter-school tournaments on there, which have been incredible. It saw young students from other schools where my own students have helped supervise, they've umpired, they've coached. And so obviously now we're left with nowhere to play. We've got British College's fixtures that we can't fulfil, and I've got a number of students that can't play hockey.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you. Well, I think that would be the end of the list of speakers. Cameron, nobody else? No? No, thank you. So I come to Councillor Lloyd and the report on page 40.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I mean, first of all, I just want to make it clear. All we want is the best for the sport into the future at that academy. Now, we either do it now or we do it in 3 years' time, but we're going to have to do it one way or another. And this is a draft report. This report actually seeks delegated authority for the Director of Assets and Street Service in consultation with the Cabinet members for Finance and Civic Affairs and myself, the Cabinet for Arts and Leisure. Is to conclude negotiations with Matrix Academy Trust to move responsibility for the future management and the operation of Etone Sports Centre from the Borough Council to the Leisure Management Service Provider SLM to Matrix Academy Trust, using a mutually agreed community use agreement to replace the existing dual use agreement between the Borough Council and Matrix Trust. Such a community agreement will ensure the Borough Council continues to work in partnership to improve the health and qualities of the residents of this borough. It has been the case with the dual agreement that we've had in place since the 1970s. There are a number of key issues dealt with in the proposed draft use agreement, including the renewal of the all-weather pitch. In the near future, all parties will need to take account of the EHB England Hockey Board's policy in deciding which of the 4 playing surfaces or playing categories are best suited for the Nuneaton Hockey Club and other users' needs. The report suggests that the Borough Council will need to make a payment to the Trust to ensure that the work can be carried out in a timely fashion. I draw your attention to what was said by one of the speakers. At no stage within this report does it mention £70,000 will be transferred to Etone Academy. In that fact, it doesn't make any, it doesn't point to any figure whatsoever, because we're still in negotiations. The actual details of the amount will be, however, between obviously Matrix Academy and ourselves. And they actually acknowledge the appropriate conditions will need to be in place to ensure that the money that the Borough Council provides is used in the renewal of the all-weather pitch. This money can be held by the Council until the all-weather pitch contractor has been engaged to carry out the work. In terms of the Borough Council's contribution to the renewal pitch, as I've said, it makes no reference to any figure. The actual figures that are being bandied about, the actual money that has been accumulated for the all-weather pitch is also for the Ingle Stadium, the marine track and the skate park, and has been published in the Borough Council Statement of Accounts for 2013-14. As from the 31st of March 2014, this earmarked reserve stood at 399,000. But let's make it clear, it's not just for the all-weather pitch, and the funding will have to be found through other means as well. Should the proposed new agreement be approved, Matrix Academy Trust would receive all meet the share of the renewal costs. It is also possible that the Borough Council, Matrix Academy Trust and Nuneaton Hockey Club, working together, could gain some external funding from Sport England. To enable this to happen, what I'm intending to do is have Kevin Hollis from the Council's Sports and Development to engage with the hockey club and the other user groups to put together a grant to bid for be bidded for Sport England to assist in the refurbishment of all-weather pitch. The other key issues dealt with in the proposed community use agreements are preserving the public use of the facilities, including the all-weather pitch, outside of the school day, as it is the case now, and ensuring Matrix Trust maintain and repair the facilities in an appropriate manner. A policy of affordable pricing, with references charged to the Borough Council's other leisure and sports centres, and the comment made references the only all-weather pitch. It will refer to the pricing structure of that all-weather pitch now. A 10% discount for passport to leisure users, free parking for at least 3 hours, provisions to the Borough Council for the usage figures for sports facilities on a quarterly basis, transferring the operation to the Etone Centre to Matrix Academy Trust under the terms proposed. The community use agreement will undoubtedly lead to securing savings for the Borough Council in excess of £70,000, which is a sizable sum given the future budget challenges that face the authority. Since the original use agreement, dual use agreement, was entered into in 1977, the approach to managing and operating the Etone Centre has been subject to several changes, but the public use of the facilities at the appropriate times has been constant throughout those changes. You will also note that community use agreement tabled in the report is marked draft, and this report has been made available to the public and discussed in open session in a transparent way. The fears of user groups have over Etone Centre's future can be taken care of in a community use agreement, as I've explained is a draft. Things like the ongoing closing and opening timings, but I've got to say, as Councillor Copeland said at the beginning, the original timings that the school could at the moment operate to are far from what we've got in agreement at the moment, but they could revert back to those timings quite reasonably. It's in the contract. We can look at all the comments made by the public over this week and where practical, and can take into consideration while in negotiations on the draft agreement continues. The Borough Council will ensure that the community use agreement that is entered into by Matrix Academy Trust will ensure public use of the facilities continues into the future. Chair, I, like everybody in here, want to see this establishment of the hockey and all the other establishments continue long into the future. If we don't face this now, in the way we're facing it, and we don't come up with a new sports surface for the hockey club, we don't do that now, and in 3 years' time our backs are going to be even further up the wall. We'll have nothing to negotiate with. So, given that, and the willingness to obviously include these organisations and sports development, Chair, I have no other option than to move the recommendations on page 17 in 2.1 and 2.2.
Any other member?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I note the concerns. I don't know what the council can do in reference to Etone stocking kegs using the pitch during the school day. I don't know. I do know that reference to council is and always has been committed to community use facilities for people to go to, and I don't see this actually changing. This is a draft document, and I think on top of the draft document of what's been mentioned today about sports development, talking to the hockey club and taking and working with Matrix Trust as well, if something's come out of it, that is also a step forward. I don't believe that this council has any intention of not providing facilities like they've been there for years and years and years. So I'd have to second that.
Councillor Lloyd.
If we're going on to history and where we come from the Etone, our record is pretty good. 23 years I was chairman of leisure. And it was me and a lady called Dorothy people who put the Astro-Turf in. We travelled around the country, not even where it was made and that. We placed that, we put it into there. And when it wanted to be replaced, obviously money was scarce. But what we did, we put money into a fund and kept topping that fund up so that we could continue to have a proper all-weather service, because it's the only one, because it cost a lot of money. And we did that, and we replaced that. And that's what we intend to do now. We will do everything possible, this authority, to continue the service that we provided down there. I know there's little rules now coming out that for the public are finding timing and that it's more prominent to do the time through the day, and we get it at night and weekends and whatever. But that agreement has been there for a long time. When I first took it over, that was the agreement when I did it for 23 years, that we'd done that. But we put this facility in and it worked beautifully. So we are very guarded, this council, to make sure that one part of that and the Etone is stayed, and we are always, and I don't care whatever the Tories or anybody says, we have always been community based. We put our community first. Some of the clubs don't like the same, but if we pay for that, then it's got to be community to do, because some of them like want it all for their own usage, whatever. But we won't do that as a council. We want that as a community based facility. If we put money in, we look at it. And I have no doubt the portfolio and the people and the draft, when they come to an agreement, the people have put the things, and they should be concerned. I agree with that, because it's just come out from and it's worried whether it's going to carry on or whether we're going to have a new pitch and everything. And I can understand that, because that's, to me, it's always been the headquarters of the hockey. And it's been said to us, one of our players, international goalkeeper, fabulous. It's like our swimming club, they do that. And that's where it comes from, the base, and I've always thought that it's always been our hockey base. And we've got to keep that. And we will do everything possible, I'm sure, through the leader and through the portfolio to keep that facility as we've always protected it. And we will make sure, hopefully, working. Now, you've heard them say it today, that they are going to work with talk to the hockey club. They're going to get involved with Kevin Hollis and everybody, so you can see the facilities we're putting forward now to protect what they have. And I agree, I will always protect it, because I was the first one to put it in. And there's a lady called Dorothy People who was chair and vice chair of leisure in those years. And this authority, and the last thing I'll keep on, there's one thing about this authority that Nuneaton Bedworth have always done, is look after its facilities of sport. We did the Jubilee, the Civic Hall, all brand new out. We put the running track in, we put the bikes in, community, the bike tracks over the Jubilee. We've done all the Jubilees out and all the centres out. So but the best of it is, it's not compulsory, we don't have to, it's not law. We do that. If we have compulsory things to do, we choose to do that. If we didn't want to touch leisure, we could say, get rid of it, gone. But this authority always, and I'm going on a bit now, I'm in the 70s, I'll tell you what it is, I've always been committed to the facilities of the sport of this borough. And we're now working with a lot of clubs to help us get it through and keep it going and make a bit of money. And I'm going to do it, and then you can pull me. And it's marvellous. We've got people sitting down there from the tourism back, dreaming about what we can do with the money. And yet it's their government.
Chairman, does
Yeah,
the
it's their
council get 3
government.
minutes like the rest of
Yeah,
us?
it's
or
their
talk
government
about it?
who put us.
Can I ask you, Councillor Trummers, to read the Constitution, members of the Cabinet are allowed to speak on this item. They are not limited to 3 minutes. And that was the case when your party was also elected. But you shouldn't shout from the back of the room.
It's obvious you'll get that, Chair, because there are a lot of people sitting here, and I don't want to get over the public, but it's just, if they only knew what we're going to save this year and next year, it's colossal. The amount that we're going to be put back, and they sit here being heroes for the people that we want all this, and get their cut and put on it. And that's what they do.
Thank you. Well, I must take up what Councillor Lloyd's last point. This council has had around a third of its income cut since 2010 from the government. But we have not made massive attacks on our services, as they have in other authorities. We have been very, very careful in looking for savings that have not affected our services to the public. We've been attacked since Etone was first built, and I was a member of the council when it was built in September, the agreement was signed in September 1977. We have been attacked continuously since by the opposition on the amount we spend on leisure, and we have never apologised for the amount we spend on leisure and the proportion of our council tax and our income that goes on leisure, because leisure adds greatly to the life of people in this borough, and it assists us in the sort of things that have been mentioned in terms of health. We know that we have a very bad health profile, which is why Passport to Leisure was invented in this borough and has since been copied nationwide, if not worldwide. But very few authorities have still got many free aspects of Passport to Leisure, such as free swimming for young children, as we have. We have not looked at this in relation to that. But I will add, and I was very proud to stand there when we opened the building. And I can still remember opening it, and I've seen it from two sides because I was chair of governors of Etone School for many years. So I know all about the use of Etone, who uses it when and who has the right to use it when. But when that centre was opened, and since then, many people have believed it belonged to the Borough Council, and it doesn't. It is on land that is the county council's, and that land, I believe, has been transferred for a number of years to the academy under the law. It isn't something the county have chosen to do, and it's very rare I defend the county, but it's not something, it's something they've had to do. And with it transfers everything along with it. Our agreement is in fact in usage of that centre, and in doing this we are trying to keep the usage of that centre for the public, and we are not saying we wash our hands of Etone. We're saying we want to keep the public use of Etone. I'm very proud when I pass over the bridge and see hockey and many other sports going on, because there's football, there's all sorts of things happening at Etone School. So I'm very, very proud of that, and I wouldn't be the last person in the borough to want to be rid of that. I'm very proud. Councillor Foster said it wasn't his particular sport. Well, I tell you, Councillor Foster, none of them are my particular sport, because I am not at all sporty, but there is nobody in this council, I think, who could say they've defended leisure and sports spending as I have over the 40 years I've been a member of this council. I'm very proud of what we've done at Etone, and I have no intention that that should be changed for the population. So let's make it very clear, this council, despite the onslaught on us, the onslaught by central government on our finances, is meeting, the Cabinet is meeting, secretly, yes, Councillor Condalker, we sit in rooms day after day after day, looking for a penny we can save here and a pound we can save there, to avoid cutting money on the services. And so far we've done it very, very successfully, and we intend to keep doing it. Whether we can do it over the next 2 or 3 years when we've more millions to save is anybody's guess, but we intend to keep doing that, because sport and other services are extremely important to us. So please don't people sit attacking this council for its record on sport, because you won't find many councils in the country that can equal ours. Now, I don't often shout the odds in terms of the council's record on sport, and I think we've got a lot to be proud of, and in Etone Centre we want to continue being proud of it, and this negotiation helps us to do that. I'm sorry, but you can't speak. You cannot speak.
You've had a good chat, but you have to be quiet. I know you can't.
I'm sorry, sir, if you wanted to speak, you had the opportunity at the beginning of the meeting. Again, something which is not given by every council.
I know that.
Very few councils allow people to speak. But you did not use your opportunity.
Well, next time.
Well, if you're a resident of the borough, you can do so. All those in favour of what Councillor Lloyd has put forward, I'm sure we should be in the negotiations. I should be part of it by the looks of this in any case. We should be taking care of the interests of our sporting community 100%. All those in favour of that? Thank you very much. And thank you for everybody.